Hello everyone, welcome to Twisted Serenity with Mimi. Thanks for clicking on my channel. Today I will be bringing you some farmhouse DIYs using mostly Dollar Tree products. And remember, if it's not a product from Dollar Tree, it's very budget friendly. So let's just get started. Okay, so we're starting off with these milk jars, milk jugs, whatever you call them. They're the ones that have coffee in them, kind of like the Starbucks ones, but these, I'm not sure if these are Starbucks ones or the ones from Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree sells them as well. And then I got 6 wood sticks. I cut 6 of them down to about 8.5 inches. And then I cut a couple of them down to about 3 inches. So there's 6 of the big ones and then 6 of the little ones. And I don't even know where I got these wood sticks. They're in my stash, but they're the thickness of like the rulers or paint stir sticks. So you could grab whatever, whichever things you do have and use those. So I'm just gonna attach some wood glue, some hot glue, and I'm just gonna attach all the pieces, the little pieces to the big pieces, and we are going to make a little crate. And yes, Dollar Tree sells crates, but I wanted this one to be like a little bit bigger in width and a little bit higher. So I attach all my pieces using wood glue and hot glue, the temporary hold, the permanent hold. So once I build the base of the wood crate, I need to stabilize it. So I grab some popsicle sticks and I just cut them down, and I'm just going to glue some popsicle sticks inside the 4 corners of the crate. You have to stabilize it and make it a little bit sturdier, but to still keep the space in between, because I don't want it to be one of the crates that it's no spaces. Anyways, sometimes I just ramble. After we're done stabilizing the heck out of the crate, I grab my Waverly chalk paint in white. Remember, this is not Waverly, not the white wax. It's off-white. But I wanted the off-white because we are going to go over it anyways with Waverly Antique Wax. But when you're painting it, make sure you get in between the creases. I painted the inside of it as well, because it does kind of like show through if you do not paint it the right way. It shows the white color and then it shows, the plain wood color. But you could paint it any color that you want. Remember, make it to your decor. So now that it's all painted and dried up, we're going to grab the Waverly Antique Wax and we do that heavy dry brushing all around the crate. This would have looked so pretty too if we did a base coat of Waverly wax and then distressed it with the white. But look, I forgot to paint the sides of it. That's what I was talking about. Make sure you get the whole entire thing. So I have this ribbon, I should say, this chicken wire ribbon from Hobby Lobby that I picked up for $2 and some change. And I cut 4 pieces down of it to the width of the crate. So I'm taking 2 pieces, I'm putting 2 pieces in the front and 2 pieces of the back, so it could show in between the spaces of the crate. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think that makes sense. Anyways, you can see what I'm doing. And then I'm gonna take some hot glue just to hold down the chicken wire inside of the crate. And please, you guys, if you guys are ever gluing down chicken wire and are not that smart like me, always use either finger protectors or like the silicone spatulas, because when you get burned with hot glue and it's on with this chicken wire, sweet baby Jesus, does that hurt. Okay, so we have the chicken wire in there, sturdy, everything's sturdy. So I cut down 8 popsicle sticks to the length of the crate, and I just took Waverly wax, antique wax, and I'm going to do the baby wipe technique. Where you paint the wax on and then you rub it off with a baby wipe. So I did that to all 8 popsicle sticks. Once they were all dried up, I took the popsicle stick and I glued on the popsicle stick to the front of the crate. We are going to put two on the front, two on the side, basically like a border for the four corners. Okay, so we have the border set up, and I took these thumbtacks. They're the silver ones. They have them in gold as well. And I just cut down the tack part, and I'm going to glue it two to each of the popsicle sticks that we just put on. You could use the popped up stickers if you want, or you could just leave it as is. I just like the way it gives it that extra pop, and it looks more farmhouse-ish to me as well. So once we have that all set up, we have to put something at the bottom. You could use foam board, you could use, parts of a Dollar Tree sign. I just had more of these sticks that I'm just trying to get rid of. So I just took two of the sticks and I just cut them down. Now, it doesn't cover like the whole board, but it does, the whole bottom I should say, but it does cover the middle of it, and it will hold up the milk containers. Okay, our crate is finally done. So I'm grabbing our 3 milk jars, 3 milk bottles. I keep saying jugs, jars, containers, milk bottles, and Waverly chalk paint and linen white. And I'm going to give our bottles 2 coats of this paint. Okay, we got our milk bottles all dried up and done, and we're grabbing a piece of sandpaper. And instead of distressing them with paint, I just want to basically sand some of that little paint off, like little parts of it, so it can look distressed and vintage farmhouse-age that way. So I don't put spots all over the bottle, just like little spots here and there. But you know what will look cute? If you draw, and I think I may do this in a future project, draw like little cow prints on them. That would look cute as well. Well, I grabbed my little handy Dollar Tree nail filer, because that thing works way better than that sandpaper, and I just finished distressing the bottles with that. So I grabbed some twine, and I just did a couple wraparounds at the top of the bottles of all 3 bottles. And now that our bottles were done, I just took these little florals that I picked up from Walmart for $1 and some change a long time ago, and I stuck them in the bottles. And once I was done putting them in the bottles, I stuck them in the crate, and that was it. And this is so beautiful. Simple, cheap, inexpensive products turn into such a beautiful piece. Okay, you guys, so this galvanized watering can, I picked this up at my local grocery store for $1.25. I kid you not. And they're those ready set grow cans. So I had like 5 of them. I grabbed like the last ones that were in stock, and I took one and I googled farmers market images, and I found this image, and I just cut it out, and I took out some Mod Podge, and I put a layer of Mod Podge on the watering can. I took a chippy brush and Waverly chalk paint antique, and I just dry brushed all around the image. Now, what would a farmhouse DIY be without Waverly chalk paint antique on antique wax? I swear, we use this, like us that do farmhouse DIYs, this is like our sanctuary go-to product. And just be careful if you're gonna do something like this with using tissue paper. Just be very careful, because the tissue paper will break very easily. And if I would have lifted that all up, most likely it would have ripped off. So I just smoothed it out with my fingers, and you see the creases on the top of the can, like those indents. I just pressed a little bit harder in those indents so the tissue paper could be like embedded in those prints. And once I had it where I wanted it, all lined up, I just went over the corners, starting off at the corners, just to really lay it down with Mod Podge. And I just went over the image completely with Mod Podge just to secure it officially down. Oh my god, look at how pretty that looks so far. It looks like I bought it at a store, I swear. So I grabbed my chippy brush and antique wax. I swear antique wax for Farmhouse Decor is my holy grail. And I just started distressing the image. I wanted it to look like a watering can that has been out, you know, like in the barn or in the farm, and it's dirty. So I went around the rim, the handle, the watering spout, and I just made it look like a farmhouse dirty watering can. And that's it, you guys. This looks so beautiful with some greenery, or you can even stick utensils inside of it. I love it. Okay, so for this one, I picked up one of those beach tags, but they have these all year round, seasonal, and I just made sure that I wanted it in tag, like the shape of a tag, and I just removed the paper on it and sanded it down, even though I'm going to flip it around, but I am going to paint the other side because I don't like a backside unfinished. So I'm just filling up the holes on the top of the tag, and then I'm going to give it 2 coats of Waverly chalk paint in the color plaster. Okay, so now that our board is dried, I'm grabbing this Farm Fresh egg stencil that I got in a pack from Amazon, and I had used some of these stencils in another video of mine. I'm just going to tape it down onto the board, and of course I don't know where I put my masking tape, but I'm going to just use some Scotch tape. So I got it secure, and I'm going to grab a stencil brush from Dollar Tree and my Waverly chalk paint in the color ink, and I'm going to start dabbing the paint onto the stencil. I don't brush the paint on because it does bleed through if you do brush the paint on, well, at least in my experience. So I just dab the paint onto the stencil, and I don't put too much paint on it, even though it looks like a lot. I just don't put too much paint on the brush because it would definitely bleed through if I do it like that. Now obviously this is not an adhesive stencil, I did tape it down. So as I am putting on the paint, I am just holding the stencil secure down so it doesn't lift up in any spots. But I haven't had no issues with these stencils. They have been great, and my experience, they're beautiful. It was a whole pack of Farmhouse stencils. So it didn't bleed through. What it was when I was lifting up the stencil, I ended up getting paint at the bottom. So I just took some paint and I'm just going to clean that area up. And once that I have that area cleaned up, I grab my finger sander and I'm just going to go over the image a little bit just to distress the image a little bit up. Now I grab the same brush and the same Waverly chalk paint, the color ink, and I'm just going to dry brush the whole border of my sign. Okay, so I grabbed this wire basket from Dollar Tree, of course, and I am going to take it and I am going to stand up my sign and put my basket at the bottom, and I am going to mark 2 holes that I am going to drill into because I'm going to attach the basket to the sign. Now I grab these cable ties, and I am going to take this cable tie and string it from the back of the sign into the basket, and from the basket back into the back of the sign again. And I am going to do that to both sides. Once again, I needed like a little something something, so I grabbed this chicken wire ribbon again, and I just cut a piece and I put it on the front of the side, and I just like bend it over and just glue it to the back. Now once I have that little ribbon on, I grab I didn't have no more raffia, so I had this hula skirt in my craft stash, so I just cut a couple pieces down and I stuck it inside the basket. Now you could put real eggs in here, but just for now I have these leftover Easter eggs, and I stuck the eggs in the basket, and that was it, you guys. Okay, so this one has to be by far my favorite one. I grabbed these 2 hanging wall shelves from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to fill up the holes with some plaster. What am I saying? Plaster? Spackle. And once dried, I just sanded it down. Now, you see that it's wet. I took a spray bottle and I just did a spray of water on the board, and I took Waverly Antique Wax and I painted the front, the back, and the side of the boards. Now you could take Waverly Wax and mix it in a bowl. I just didn't feel like doing all that, so I did it like this. And it worked the same. It got the job done. I had said before that I do stuff in weird ways. You don't have to do it exactly like me, but it still works. Okay, so I did this to both of my boards. So once my boards were all done and dry, I grabbed these wooden beads that I had picked up from Amazon. I mean, they came in a big bag. I've been having these for so long. I've done so many projects with them. It's lost. And there's about 40 or 50 here. I grabbed some antique wax and some water. Basically, I'm making that faux stain that I said I didn't want to do for the boards, but I did it for the beads. And I'm just mixing it up, and I'm going to throw my beads inside the bowl. And I'm going to stain the beads this way. So I was going to do a little bit at a time and just swish them around. And I was like, no, I'm going to just throw them all in there and shake it up. I left them about 10 minutes shaking it up every like 2 minutes or so. Once I felt like they were done, I just fished them out onto a paper towel and just dried them up using my heat gun. And you see how some of them have like the darker sides and some of them didn't get it all, but they still look beautiful anyways. And I fell in love using this technique. So I just transferred them into like a little bucket because they were rolling around everywhere. And now I am going to start putting them onto my board. So I take some hot glue, as you can see, and I just put the bead down, and I'm going to do this all around the entire board. But there is going to be one side that the bead doesn't fit, so it's going to look too spaced out. So I had a solution. I took my miter shears and I cut a bead in half. So I'm gonna glue the bottom of the bead and a side, like part of the side of the bead, and I'm just gonna glue it very close to that end bead right there. You can see what I'm doing. So it's gonna give it the illusion that there is a bead at the end of it. And I did that for both ends of this side of the board, because the other side there was enough, like if enough beads did fit on it. So now by doing that on this side, all the rest of the beads are close to each other and not so spaced out like the other side that they were all, close to each other, and it doesn't look so uneven. So once I had all the beads all around the board, okay, so then I drizzled hot glue all over the beads and I added the second board. And then I just added some weight to the board to hold it down. If I would ever do this again, I would do wood glue and just wait for it to dry instead of the hot glue, because it did seep down a little bit to the beads. Now, they're called doll heads, but I'm going to use them as legs for our tray. I picked them up at Michael's, and I'm just staining them with the Waverly Antique Wax as well. So I just positioned these on the boards and I glued them on. And it's perfect since they're flat. And once I have them positioned, I take Waverly chalk paint. I took it in cashew first and I didn't like the way it looked. So I started to go over the beads with plaster. But I just distressed the whole board. And once I finished distressing it, that was it. And this riser is complete. It's so beautiful. It's Farmhouse, but elegant at the same time. So I picked up this board from Dollar Tree, of course, and it's the one that has the star. So I'm just scoring it just to get that piece of the star off to make a sign, because we don't need that little star part. The boards that they're coming out with now, look at that. You don't have to paint it or anything. It is just gorgeous. I ain't complaining because it went up a quarter, because I feel it went up $1.25 and the quality of their stuff has gotten so much better. So I wanted to frame the sign that we're going to do. So these are dowels that I have used in other projects. And I am just measuring it and I'm just cutting it at a 45-degree angle. And I'm going to cut all the ends like that, because I want a nice little frame for our sign. And you could use paint stir sticks, anything like that to frame your signs. I just think it gives it like a high-end look. So once I cut it out, I'm just wood gluing. I'm adding some wood glue and hot glue just to piece the frame together. And then I'm going to stain it again, once again, with antique wax. I'm going to do the stain effect all over the frame. Now, when I am staining the frame, I am staining the whole entire thing, like the front, the back, the sides, and the insides of the frame as well, because I just want to get everything covered, so when you do hang this, it's not showing, the different tones of the basic wood and the stained wood. Now once it's all dried, I'm going to attach the frame to the sign, and I'm just adding some hot glue to the whole border, and then I just flip it around and attach it. Now Dollar Tree is stepping up their game. Look at this wall decal. It's beautiful. I just unpeel it, I center it in the middle, and this is, I don't even have words. It's our family's gathering place. Sit long, talk much, laugh often. Just, I take my little Cricut thing and I just make sure that it's like secure down. This looks like something that we could pick up from Hobby Lobby, honestly, my opinion. thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and turn on that bell notification to be notified when I post my next video. And always remember, this world is going to throw you twists and turns, but always make good choices. To the next one, you guys.